right. Welcome everybody to episode 31 of New Horizons. We'll kick things off as usual with our recap from Avery.
Among the many colored drawings that you'd find in Java's notebook would be his notes from the last session, which read, "Our journey went smoothly. He got a chance to step away. He found Nero studying math, which he spelled with two F's, with brother Nick. Um, in that discovery, Nick pointed out that he had likely formally learned math at some point in university, a thought which hadn't occurred to Java yet, which led him to seek new opportunities to find more about himself. Um, more to come on that, I'm sure. Eventually, the crew arrived at their final location, uh, and on approaching the coordinates that they had originally intended to land at, found that safe landing wasn't possible because of an abundance of fungus. So, after landing slightly outside of the intended coordinates, they packed up their supplies and began to tow them towards what Java would describe as a pack of hungry alien dogs.
Yikes. The fungus among us.
hmm Thank you, Avery. So we left off with a lot of you at the entrance to the cargo container that you'd left that has seems like it's been incorporated into the entrance to some sort of underground uh, hidey hole or living space for the Chikari. Anything else before we dive in?
Woo, thank you, Danielle.
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. So the crew begins the descent initially down the ramp that would have been part of the container, and it soon ends, and you continue downward on the fungus that is growing on packed dirt of the tunnel. And as you as you continue your descent, the the light gets a little brighter. Move through the dark patch, and you come down to turn a corner, and the tunnels branch off pretty quickly after this turn. And as you take stock of your surroundings, the fungus coated walls of these tunnels writhe slowly in the dim green light, uh, seeming a little more active than it was on the surface. You can faintly hear echoes coming from some of those tunnels, you're not sure which, of chittering and dripping sounds, occasionally punctuated by little wet splashes or splats. The air is humid and smells musty, but there's a underlying hint of sweetness if you breathe in deeply. That is for Nero anyway. The rest of you are not picking up on the smells thanks to your heavy duty suits. Uh,
Never been uh more excited to be in a heavy duty suit than I am at this moment.
hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, those
yeah.
of you suited up are enjoying the uh, mildly climate controlled comfort of the inside of your suits. And as the anti fog mechanisms uh, adjust to cope with the sudden, increase in humidity, you are extra thankful for you for modern technology.
Hmm.
All right. So Saoirse is as you have descended and then turned to this nexus of sorts. Uh, she's picking up on an just increased frequency of little telepathic pulses going through the fungus all around you, and she can see that a lot of those signals are traveling down the same path, uh, which your escort of alien dogs is turning to lead you down. And so, as the rest of you follow, Tom is following closely behind the the leader of the little pack.
Yeah.
And hmm,
Yes.
Yeah, we follow.
okay,
We're keeping up.
uh, uh, you continue only for a couple minutes, but as you do, you occasionally notice off a little side branch. You notice a little chamber with some resting Jakari that perk up to watch you pass, but otherwise continue lounging. Um,
Does anybody else watch Phineas and Ferb?
Yep.
Do you remember the episode where they made the giant ant farm?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. That is exactly what my brain went to just
not far off.
now.
You even come across one branch where a couple of the worker Jakari are digging. Seems like they've just started digging out another side branch, and they dig incredibly quickly. Um, Narrow is immediately reminded
Mm.
of the little rodents that would dig up, leave little piles of loose soil around the farm, uh, moles and whatnot. Um, got very different anatomy, but a similar digging style. But shortly, you arrive in
Nightmare fuel, by the way. Don't look.
We're good.
uh, no, so you arrive at a what you might describe as an antechamber, because it opens up into a small room, but you can see beyond. There's a short tunnel to an even larger chamber, and in this one, there is you meet the other hybrid counterpart of Tom's, who was like she was doing something to one of the worker drones, and looks up as you all enter, uh, chittering and greeting to Tom himself. Um, let's see, Brother Nick is able to understand this. I assume he's going to do kind of a translation uh, for everybody else.
uh, I got a question too.
Okay.
How many other creatures are in here?
You mean like other types of creatures, or like just
No,
like
just
counting how many
pure
of them?
pure numbers. Yeah, like not an exact count, but like a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, you
Like a
remember that
lot?
you dropped off ballpark about 80 that between like the drone types and the wolves that that you left here originally. You haven't even seen that many since arriving, but getting a scent if you had to extrapolate, um no, let me see. Uh, now I guess it'd be fairly simple to extrapolate and guess that there are at least a decent number more than there were when you left.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I don't think she had a question about that. Um,
you're talking about in this room?
oh no, I'm saying that yes, Nero would have expected there to be more now than when we left. She remembered that they like part of the thing about them was they breed incredibly fast. I think she
Hmm.
even made a comparison to rabbits.
Okay, yeah.
Um, so yeah, that there's more of them doesn't surprise her. But in seeing this many, um, she says real quiet into her comms, "I don't think I can fight that many.
Mhm.
Don't say anything, get us in trouble."
Yeah, and just to clarify, all of you who are in your suits, you're on comms with each other, so you can all speak on a channel with one another without really even being audible to um, Tom or the other Jakari, unless you specifically use your external speaker.
Hmm.
So I will be I'll try to be fairly generous in assuming that anything sensitive you say is being spoken on your private channel of sorts.
I think that's to point out that Java asked if we were going to check out the big room,
Hmm.
um, to which Cade responded.
Yeah, and Kate is definitely not feeling it at this point.
Hmm.
Shaky terms and all that. Yeah, let's wander off, separate the party, and everybody get killed. How about no?
Yeah, to which Java is immediately concerned and confused because he wasn't really aware of the fact that there was a queen and isn't sure if he has been here before with the group or not, based on Cade's statement.
um, yeah, let's see. Quick lore check, timetable check. I'm fairly certain that Java has not been here.
Yeah, no.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, he hasn't.
Yeah, because last visit, for the drop off, Nero was piloting under the supervision of Ahmed, and then yeah, she let him take over for the spike drills and stuff. Um, okay, yeah, so this is in fact this is Java's first time interacting with any of these except for Tom, and definitely in this location.
Hungry alien dogs.
Yeah, and Boris is keeping quiet. He's his if you watch him, it seems like his head has been on a swivel. So he's trying to take in all of this at once. But yeah, he's been keeping quiet so far. All right. So yeah, brother Nick would be able to understand um some of this conversation, and so the other hybrid says, "Well, you are back sooner than we expected. Looks like you brought the same humans with you as before, but one extra. And Tom responds, yes, we acquired another, but they come bearing gifts from others of these humans, other planets, and we're on somewhat decent terms with them for now.
Mm.
But that's something I need to discuss with the Queen. And her body language changes, becomes a bit more uh, off-putting, and she responds, now is probably not a good time, especially in their state. They don't look the same at all as they did last time, which is sure to put her on edge. She's not well. And
Uh,
oh, go ahead.
I know that we can't understand this, but
Mhm.
for the player's sake, is she when she says their sake, is she referring to the Gakari or us?
Oh, let's see.
She said
Having an
now's
immediate brain fart. What
yeah.
what
She
sentence is
said
that?
now's not a good time, especially in their state.
Oh, yeah, in their state. She seemed to be indicating the crew. She's talking about the
The
suits
suits.
that you
Okay,
look very different from before.
gotcha. Okay.
Um, and and yeah, so as a reminder, I think we decided. I heard Ethan say that yeah, Brother Nick would be translating into comms for everyone. Um,
Right. Yeah, he
what's
did say
going
that.
on? And after a brief pause, she would then, well, when Tom doesn't have anything to say
Um,
about that. Go ahead.
I get that since Tom is sort of translating towards the team, is what you said, right?
No, brother Nick he's
Okay.
translating into comms for everybody.
Oh, okay. He's translating into comms.
Yeah,
Because
the two
my
of
thought
them are
would be,
having a chittering alien conversation here.
yeah, my thought would be that if any of us have a link with Tom right now, Cade would, I think, pull out his data slab and try to measure the environment's radiation, thinking that maybe that fungus has done something to reduce it. And if it's safer, he could suggest that they could at least partially take the armor off as a way of settling them. But it would be
Okay.
more of like an offer to Tom as a measure that they could do,
Okay. Um,
assuming it's safer.
yeah, so Tom would have been happy to maintain a telepathic link with any of the crew that was comfortable with that, where he can transmit thoughts and then read yours as well. Um,
Cade would be fine with that. So yeah, I would suggest that then they should be linked, and Cade would just have the suggestion for him
mhm.
if if it's safer down here from the sun's radiation.
Okay. Go ahead and give me just let's see, I think a no check with intelligence.
Sure.
Um, and I'll quickly ask the rest of the group, would any of the characters not want a telepathic link with Tom going into this situation? Okay, that's what
I
I was
don't think
suspecting.
anyone.
Yeah.
Hey, hey.
All right. So yeah, Cade is able to take out the survey scanner, um, and get a little reading of the ambient radiation here. And the radiation is definitely less concentrated than it is on the surface. Um, it's not quite at normal levels, but it's not at like acute radiation sickness kind of levels.
Right, it's
So
something that we could withstand for a bit.
yeah, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be immediately dangerous. Now, it's not healthy. Um, your 9 out of 10 physicians would not recommend taking your suit off right now. um, but it wouldn't have any negative effects for um, Cade would suspect at least several hours, if not longer, before you might start feeling some minor effects.
Okay. Cade will share that with the group, also with the idea that maybe further in it would also be reduced even more, deeper in where the Queen's den may be. And he'll, suggest to Tom that they could potentially take the suits off for a short couple of hours safely, with a question mark on that one for sure. But definitely more safe than being, killed and eaten by aliens.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Tom would actually have been almost before Cade starts to project that thought to him. Um, Tom would pick up conversation again and basically explain that if it's a problem, that the humans would most likely be able to take their suits off for a short time if that would appease the queen. And the other who, incidentally, Tom projects into your minds that the name she chose, the shortened version she can deal with humans with, is Cora. Um, she hadn't been projecting that, or hadn't used that in conversation yet, but he conveys that telepathically, and then continues to explain to her basically that uh, they really, I guess he would summarize uh, the things that you were wanting to discuss with the queen, uh, talking about his being a representative of the Jakari to the humans, to the ones that are willing to be on friendly or at least neutral terms with them anyway. Um, and then also about letting Boris remain on the planet as a visitor. And she takes that all in without any overt reactions. And then her response is that she's not sure. She doesn't think there would be any problem with Boris staying, though it would definitely be best to be clear and open about that. But this Jakari representative business is going to be a tricky topic. And she reiterates the point about the queen not being well and expresses her uncertainty about how well that sort of idea would go over.
So the
Okay.
queen is physically not doing well, like the queen is sick?
She hasn't elaborated more than that, but you could prompt Tom to ask that if you want, or um, potentially go about it another way.
Yeah, I would prompt Tom to ask that and also tell him that they can mention that he can mention that I'm a healer and that I may
Okay.
be able to help the queen.
Hmm. Um, he will telepathically respond and just project this to everyone. Uh, would you like me to help you speak up uh, yourself for the crew, or would you like me to continue being the spokesperson here?
I think Saoirse is fine letting him continue to be the spokesperson,
Very well.
just because that minimizes the chances of something being miscommunicated.
um, she gets the distinct feeling of doubt coming from his from his mind. Uh, but then he will go ahead and continue. He'll to clarify, ask Cora to clarify about the queen's condition, and her response, as Brother Nick is able to translate it, would be uh, something along the lines of, "I had to convince her to let you all in. Anything to do with our former masters is touchy."
Okay.
And then she would she would stand up, kind of helping the critter up that she had been doing something with, and then Trisha would notice her give it a telepathic, a quick telepathic jolt of sorts, and then it would run off back down the tunnel that you entered by. Well, we could go and see her, at least introduce yourselves, which you should do. Um, do go ahead and tell your human friends that they should take their suits off if they can. Uh, that would certainly help her if she could more easily recognize them.
Could Cade, since he's more of the techie, sciencey kind of type, kind of give Tom the mental sketch of humans like they are having, bones on the inside and the Gakari having bones on the outside, and that the suit is just like an extra layer of bones on the outside for the protection. Just this kind of like he's humored.
So Saoirse would telepathically ask Tom if it would be all right for them to go back to the ship and take anti-rad medicines and then come back with their suits off.
I'd say I think we established last time that you guys all brought a couple doses each, just as precautions anyway.
Yeah, makes
Right?
sense.
Okay. I guess
So,
then we'll start dosing up.
Yep.
okay.
Maybe Cade will ask through Tom, saying, "Can we leave our suits here then? Like stack them against the wall?"
Why don't we just take them with us?
Because they're heavy.
I'll carry yours.
You can't carry all of them, Narrow. They're huge and they're heavy.
They fold up. I have a backpack. Here, let me show you.
How big is that backpack? Kid's like looking inside, like doing
Yeah,
the mental
backpack.
math. Like,
So she can probably stuff two inside and then strap one to the outside.
I think hers is
Or
hanging on
something
the
like that.
outside. At 3 encumbrance, they're about as big as a toolkit, so I figure it's the kind of thing that it just gets strapped to the back of the outside of the backpack.
Mhm.
Maybe in a protective little plastic baggie so that nothing gets into the unsealed suit or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say picture like with the backpacking packs where you'll have the um, ground pad rolled up and just bungee corded to the outside.
Yeah,
Um, you can do that with a few things because those packs have all kinds of straps and things to fasten to on the outside.
and
Um,
that's just TL3. Narrow's got a TL4 backpack. Yeah, Nero is reaching for. Oh, if he's taken it off already, Nero is reaching for his suit. She's not gonna help him strip off the suit.
Give me that. He's like, I'm not even all the way out yet. Leave me alone.
You'll still fit.
yeah, kid be like, stop it. I could just close it up and leave it right here. It's fine.
Mm. So,
Kind of like the brother sister vibe. Leave my thing alone. I can handle this.
And like the brother sister vibe, Nero just takes that half step back and stares at him.
um, so,
Ryan Higa. Haven't seen that man in forever. It's hilarious. Um,
what I was gonna
it's
say is that while all this is going on, Cora she makes some clacking noises that Tom knows uh, they sound like exasperation. Uh, his familiarization with their expressions, and she says, "This is taking too long, and this is getting tiresome. Let me just speak to them myself." And Saoirse the uh, notices her start to use biopsionics, um, and it reads as metamorphosis.
oh shoot,
Ooh.
And
he is leveled up.
anyone watching her closely would notice kind of a mild convulsion and her throat kind of moving in an unnatural way. And then with a kind of uncannily normal human voice, speaks up and says in pretty good common mandate, actually, you all can just leave the suits where you are if you want, or you can bring them, but what you do, do quickly. The queen is not patient.
Hi, Cade. The queen isn't patient. Just hand over your suit already.
I'm already taking it off. She's just gonna pack it with her, and there's no point. I was literally just stacking it here.
Tom is standing there, actually literally speechless, just staring at her.
Tom's jealous.
So when did you learn to do that thing with your throat?
She looks over
Saoirse's
at
gonna ask
Saoirse.
Cora.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Looks over at Saoirse, and
Didn't think you could do that last time.
that's for me to know and you to wonder.
All right then. Keep your secrets.
And Tom finally manages to get out a stuttering line that Brother Nick can understand as, "What? Why didn't you tell me about this? Can you show me?" And her response in Mandate is, "Let's see how your meeting goes with the Queen. Then we can discuss what you may have missed out on." And she turns, walks towards the little connecting tunnel, and then stands there awaiting the lot of you to
Oh no.
get yourselves presentable for the Queen.
Cade's not gonna do anything to make it take any like longer,
Right,
but
right.
I imagine getting out of the suit's just gonna take a couple minutes no matter what.
And realistically, even without Nero, like, professing to have more experience, it's probably easier to have help anyways.
It probably is, but they're both stubborn people, so
They are.
Yeah. Fortunately,
this whole crew.
these are designed at least decently well for one person use. But yeah, they're still bulky. So after a couple minutes of everybody struggling to varying degrees to quickly get out of your suits and either
I
bundle
mean,
them up and pack them or leave them in the room.
I imagine Saoirse was showing off because, of course, she can take it off helping herself because, telekinesis.
Actually, I'm not sure that's how that works since I'm a person wearing it, right? You can't
Uh,
affect things that somebody's wearing.
well, that's on other people because of whatever, brainwave interference kind of stuff is going on. But no, that wouldn't really apply to yourself.
All right, then she's definitely gonna give Kate especially an eat crap grin. Just like, take that.
Is that
Yeah.
before or after the death glare?
Before, when
Okay.
she's taking it off, and he's obviously struggling because he's being stubborn.
You guys should know she excels at facial expressions, so she can do both at the same time.
No, that's not it. Thank you.
She does have metamorph. She could
Oh
literally grow
no!
another face to do that.
That's
Oh,
disgusting.
oh
Stop
no.
doing that.
That would be hilarious and
That's
disturbing.
See, that's the kind of creativity that I've been looking for.
No, nope, not happening. Thank you. Guess it's a good thing I'm the one with metamorph and not Dex.
Yeah, I guess that's true. We can avoid that situation for tonight. Um, yeah, I yeah. So telekinetic assisted unsuiting aside, everyone eventually finishes up and can file over to the entrance to the next chamber.
Cade will definitely pull out one of his anti-rad packets and just take the pill dry. If anybody looks at him with that, he's just gonna be like, "What? I'm not taking chances with this radiation. This stuff's nasty."
Java doesn't take any.
Looks over when Cade says that, and thinks to him, a self-preservation is an admirable trait. Not all have it to the same degree.
Cade will shrug, but also agree.
um. All right. So, seeing everyone is ready, Cora will go ahead and lead the way into the next chamber. And this next chamber is probably about 15 meters in every dimension. And is actually it's somewhat busy on one side of the room with some of the little worker drones coming and going through another side tunnel. But the queen herself is basically laying, like abdomen and lower part of the body covered over with other fleshy growths and um, some of that some of that fungus growing on her as well. And her thorax was resting on another kind of built up mound of the fungus. But she raises up her head when you all enter and gives a kind of a wordless, clacking greeting to the lot of you. And as you hear a couple kind of little squelching sounds, and a drone scurries off, clutching what looks like kind of a handful of eggs, large human head-sized eggs.
Well, I guess I'll change
And
the rating on my stream.
hey, laying eggs is totally normal. Chickens lay eggs. Um, but
Not
Explain
human
what that process
head-sized
looks
ones.
like.
No,
no,
we're
they
not gonna
don't.
describe that.
Oh boy, I hear
Those
kids
gifts are
yelling.
disturbing.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
dear.
very much are.
Animals with human mouths should just not be a thing.
And
That, ugh.
Oh no, I have I know where that comes from too. Um, may or may not be actually a good thing. But anyway, let's see. I'm actually gonna have to take a brief break here. Uh, kids are getting up to something.
Uh-oh.
Um, so if
well,
hmm?
Adam was just calling for you. Now he's laying down and Hannah's
Yeah,
like
so
1 second they're calling for you and now they're like totally it's like about it.
yeah,
You wanna go check on him?
I'll take a minute here. Let's take 5. Um,
Okay.
and I'll be right back.
It may be all the sirens. I don't know if y'all heard those.
Oh no, I didn't.
There was like 100 of them.
Oh well.
We're taking a daddy minute.
Yeah, exactly. I'll make sure everybody's
Daddy
okay.
5. We need like the intermission screen from Monty Python and the
those were
Holy
those were disturbing too. Or maybe I'm thinking of
The
the
intermission
intros.
scene?
I'm thinking of the intros.
You're thinking of the intros. No, the intermission scene was just like that marble look that was like rainbow colors and just played organ music, but then it
That's
said
right.
do 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 do.
Is that organ music?
in the intermission. I was pretty sure it was.
Huh. Okay. I always thought of organs as like more graceful instruments.
No, they're like the nasally cousin of pianos. It's the worst.
Okay.
The nasally version of pianos. Wow.
Nasally cousin.
Yeah, not even version, just cousin. Like, not even in the same classing.
No, they don't have class. So I can't call them in the same class.
So I thought organ music was nice. I don't know where I got that impression from because I clearly haven't heard very much of it. But maybe it's because organs are like the instrument I associate with old churches.
Yeah,
Huh.
there's not a lot of call for them, even in like an orchestra.
Baseball.
I mean, yeah, but I think that's just a recording.
No, several of them still have a live organ player.
Organist.
Really?
Mhm.
Huh. It's got to be an old stadium then, because I doubt they put them into the new ones.
Yeah, Trash Band does not have them.
Dadgummit, Trash Pandas, get it together.
I love that a team is named that now.
It is the best name.
I forgot that music. That's good.
Isn't that so good? If you think about it, so like I read this top comment. Makes sense. Probably the greatest joke Monty Python ever played, like on the audience, because imagine an audience full of people thinking this is a legit intermission during the film, and about the time most people would have walked out of the theater and into the lobby or bathroom, the film starts back up again. By the time people get back into the theater, the movie's over. So they practically punked their entire.
Yeah, it was such a weird joke the first time I watched it, but then again, I was just a little kid. I was like, I don't get it. Why is it at the end of the movie? Now as an adult, I'm like, it's so meta, self-referential. A beautiful troll.
Someone else was like, they should have played this halfway through the Avengers Endgame, so everyone could have pee and.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find beautiful organ music. I'm gonna see if that actually pops up. Beautiful organ music. Let's try this.
Oh, somebody did a version of. Oh, it's gonna escape me now that I want it. They did a flash mob at a mall, and there was an organ.
Mall has an organ.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
they did Hallelujah. Part of the Random Acts of Culture. It was in Macy's in the center city, Philadelphia.
All right, I am back.
Cool. We talked about nothing useful while you were gone.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
No unpacking of the egg laying that you've just witnessed.
Nope, we put that right out of mind. Thank you for reminding us.
Yeah,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
You
Yeah.
actually technically didn't witness it. You just saw the eggs carried off. So all of that is conveniently hidden behind a screen of alien fungus.
Behind a screen of nope.
Exactly. My sensor's hard at work. Um,
Ethan, why? What
Because
the
it's the
heck?
first GIF for eggs, and I
Ugh.
have so many questions.
Ugh.
oh,
Why is that
Ethan.
the first? What?
There's a sadist running Discord.
oh my.
There are perfectly reasonable GIFs for eggs right below it. There's that one.
Oh boy. See, the thing is, reasonable is often, I guess,
An
right in line with
oxymoron?
boring. Yeah. When it's boring and reasonable when you can have zany.
What? No.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Okay, so anyway,
Moving on, guys.
back to what we were doing.
We're unpacking those eggs.
Yeah, I guess I regret bringing that back up.
The
I
chicken one is just gross.
I repent myself in ashes.
You
Um,
should. You should be ashamed, Ben. Oh my goodness.
I mean, technically, this is definitely Ethan's fault.
Uh,
Um, he took it somewhere I never intended to take it.
This was provoked.
That, sir, would not stand in a court of law, I'll have you know. Anyway,
I think Danny DeVito is a perfect place to stop this GIF war.
There you go. An egg in these trying
true.
times.
Alright, so, Cora will, go in front of you all and, uh, basically, uh, prostrate herself before the queen and, proclaim, speaking again in the chittering Jakari language, um, basically explain that, the well, let me not cheap out on that. I present to you the humans that brought us to this place and freed us from our former masters.
Good, good.
They come
So
bearing
far, I'm a fan.
gifts
Yep. Hmm.
and desire to speak peaceably with you about several matters of importance. And Tom Tom will have quickly followed suit in terms of his posture. Um, as she begins her little speech here, how would the rest of you react?
Cade will bow as to royalty.
Yeah, Brother Nick doing similar.
Okay.
Java would do whatever Saoirse does.
Yeah, I think the same goes for Nero here.
Okay, so what
So
example is
when,
Saoirse setting?
yeah, I was gonna say exactly how much did Cora bow?
So she is on her knees, hands out in front of her on the fungusy floor.
Hmm. Okay, so that's probably opening herself up for teleportation. Can Saoirse detect any of that happen?
Not yet. No, she's hearing the chittering in Jakari and getting Brother Nick's live translation in her earpiece. Um, I imagine Brother Nick even now would, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ethan, but I'm guessing he would probably be trying to keep it pretty quiet and
Mm-hmm.
making use of the comms instead of basically uh, talking overlapping with uh, Cora out loud.
Yeah, so Saoirse
Yeah.
would would also, sort of copying Cora, um, get down onto her knees and in a bow. Ugh,
Okay.
nod her head.
All right. That's what Nara does also. Well, tries to. Tries to imitate that.
Yeah, it's a simple enough posture to emulate.
Okay.
No fancy flourishes or anything. So uh, none of you has any trouble with that. What was I gonna say? Okay, so the queen, Saoirse sees the queen um, react in what she would interpret as a favorable way,
Okay.
which is not violently or aggressively, but
Right.
she continues speaking in that same speech, although she does see that she initiates telepathic contact with Cora, but none with anyone else. And you notice that there are um, telepathic pulses. Um, they had been, steadily pulsing between Cora and the Queen, as well as like from lots of other places coming in towards the Queen. Um, the pace between the two of them picks up a bit, and Brother Nick is able to translate pretty well from the Queen as well, and her response goes as such. Well, the humans, I see, at least know how to be respectful, and I am curious to see these gifts they have brought, what they propose to bestow upon us. And Brother Nick is able to pick up on the sarcastic undertone there. Let's see these gifts, and then we can speak of whatever they want. I suppose Tom here will be the one to relay these questions. Cora responds affirmatively. Um, and so she would stand and turn to look at whichever of you has been pulling the cart along and gesture towards, um, kind of forward in the room and speak in her human voice. Go on, bring up the crates and open them for us. Show us what you have.
So who is carrying the, or who is pulling, I should say.
Uh,
I don't think we established that, did we?
I don't think we did.
Yeah, I don't know if we had it, but Brother Nick would be willing to take the cart or have had the cart or
Okay.
smoothly slide.
Yeah.
And it's in his best Gikari. Say, Your Majesty, we presume to bestow nothing on you, but in human culture it is customary for people
So
to
he
bring
gets
gifts
interrupted.
when giving a housewarming.
Uh, a couple of seconds into that, he's interrupted by a loud hissing and clattering from the queen, and
Oh.
then a very loud response from the queen saying, "What is that human doing? Is it trying to speak our language? What have you done?" Um, and Cora is back down on hands and knees, um, clicking away, replying desperately, uh, "My queen, no, I don't know what it's doing. I haven't done anything. Uh, this one must have taught it our tongue." um, Tom is telepathically sweating bullets, but and Brother Nick is I guess go ahead and give me a talk check from Brother Nick here with charisma. Or actually, you could do intelligence if you wanted to. I think that could fit here as well.
Oh, we're doing intelligence. Please,
Okay,
please, please.
That's my man,
nice.
brother
So
Nick.
Brother Nick manages to cut himself off quickly at the interruption, and though mentally reeling a little bit from the pace of this, is able to parse out all the different parts of the conversation and quickly but quietly translate them to everyone over the comms. And the, the as Tom begins to try to explain, uh, the queen talks over him. There, that's what it's doing. It's translating what we're saying, isn't it? Explain yourself, Tom. Why would you teach a human our language? And his his explanation is pretty simple. That he really didn't do much to teach Brother Nick, as this human is called, uh, their tongue, but he picked up a lot of the basics on his own and really only came for um, pointers and some clarification on various meanings. And Tom explains that he didn't really see a point in turning him down because they had saved him and his kind from the Tabukans, so seemed like a very minor thing. And he apologized profusely to the queen for not having consulted her on the matter first.
Tom's apologizing to the queen.
Yes.
Okay.
For not consulting her first.
Yeah,
Mhm.
when he was in space.
He could have waited, to be honest. I mean, if he thought that it was something that he could have been considered sacred or whatever,
I mean,
he could have.
he only knew the queen for like a week, and she was asleep for most of that. He had no way of knowing. I mean, that's obviously he's just placating her, but the I think what's going through Nero's head right now is the idea that she needs to be placated this much is Nero's not getting a good impression here. Anyways, I apologize for the distraction there. I
No, no,
will
that's quite all right.
appease my generous overlords with another image.
Oh dear.
Oh wow.
The Samuel L. Jackson cat. I was wondering if that one was gonna make an appearance. Uh,
No,
I
thank you.
one's very fitting. See, I wonder if I can. Oh, I can just drag and drop. Well, anywho, but yeah, so it the the atmosphere is definitely tense for a few more moments as Tom concludes his defense and apology. But the queen relents, um, especially scrutinizing brother Nick, and then seems to address him directly and says, "Very well, human. Since you can speak our tongue to some extent, please continue." And so he can you can pick up wherever you had left off before.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Thank you, Your Majesty. I am I was still in the early stages of learning, but I've spent some time studying human tongues and was able to pick up what I knew from contact with Tom and the brief time we spent with you, like he had noted. As I was saying, we'd not presume to bring anything, but it is customary for humans to offer a housewarming gift when one comes into a new home. And would present the stuff then.
Okay.
Just to, yeah, Cora, or for Cora to pass over. Or any worker drones that might be
Mhm.
coming to get it.
Yeah, so Cora had the understanding he'd gotten was for him to basically take things out and just show them off to the queen. Um, he doesn't have to get very close,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but
so he can pull out assorted goods and
Mhm. And yeah, so he pulls out a variety of
one.
things. There's a lot of there's a lot of preserved uh, meats of various types and cuts and all that sort of stuff. Um, that's basically all been in a like a, a portable freezer type thing. Um, there's also a collection of raw materials, and there's some TL4 tools and some clothing and things that are pretty apparently only going to be useful to Tom and Cora. But uh, there are also some packages of Instapanels, which Brother Nick could explain. And then some basic communications devices, like comm server and stuff. And then yeah, just some other miscellaneous household goods types stuff because the the church representative didn't necessarily know what to what to provide for.
Hmm.
It just gotten a very vague gist. But all of that having
I
been
feel like
presented.
we should have packed some like potted plants, like, so we hear you like plants. Like, purchase some of those.
Mhm. Now there's a now there's a gift idea. Maybe that can be for Christmas.
There we go.
Um, all right. Side note: in the future, we are definitely doing a like a sidebar episode, a Jakari Christmas.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Sounds like a Star Wars
It
Christmas.
sounds exactly like a Star Wars
Yeah, it
Christmas.
does.
Oh man, I'm just
Happy
imagining
Life Day, everybody.
a yeah, happy spawning day.
Anything that
Um,
resembles something else in real life is purely coincidental.
yeah. Oh man, I'm loving picturing all those little cute bug aliens in their Santa hats, stringing Christmas lights up in the tunnels. Uh, well, anywho,
Yeah, go ahead.
so the queen thanks Brother Nick for the gifts and sends out some apparently sends out a request because several drones enter from the side tunnel and gather around the supplies and they start taking things out of the crates and carrying it off. And so pretty shortly, Brother Nick is left with an empty cart or a cart full of empty crates. And the queen then asks, "Very well. What are these other topics you'd wish to discuss with me?" And she seems to still be addressing Brother Nick here.
Hmm. Uh, I get. So, he'd reply, Your Majesty, we had come at Tom's request that he had wanted to discuss matters on from news we had discovered on other worlds, and if and how you would like the Jakari represented. We merely brought our friend Tom back to you and come to listen respectfully.
Hmm. So she turns her head to Tom. Is that so? Well then, speak up for yourself, Tom. And Tom will then go ahead and pitch his idea. Um, and he puts it in a way that would essentially have him uh, be the liaison between the Jakari and the humans, um, because he's been able to interact with them, uh, been able to portray himself favorably to them, and most of them seemed to accept his personhood, so to speak. And Tom is optimistic about their chances of forming some sort of peaceful relationship with the majority of the human civilizations they come across. And the queen listens to all this and asks in a somewhat forceful way, "So you would put yourself as my new human overlord? Is that so, Tom? You would be their lapdog to convey their commands to me?" And she seems to rise up a bit, um, kind of looming as Tom begins to protest. And she cuts him off. "No, I will not hear that from you. I remember what you tried to do to me before. Don't pretend otherwise. You think I would agree to something like this?" And as she tenses up, and her kind of nonverbal clacking and chittering between her words increases, um, parts of the fungus in the chamber around begin to move more forcefully, and something bulges out from under them. And she says, "You had best leave right now. Perhaps we will speak again later, but today you are done. Begone." And
Yikes. There's some trauma there that needs some unpacking.
um, Tom has gotten the hint even before she gets to the word begone, um, and has already stood, turned, and is ushering the rest of you to head towards the back towards the entrance. Um, and Cora is remaining where she is. Do
Okay.
you all take Tom's warning?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you all hurry out, basically being ushered out the door by the last shout that is translated to "begone," um, you can all re-enter the antechamber, cart in tow. Um, are you suiting up here, or what's the plan?
Kato probably scoop his gear back onto the cart in place of the other stuff and help Brother Nick push.
I mean, how long would it take to put this suit on?
Well, it's a minute or two. Pretty convoluted thing.
Is no one gonna put the suit on?
Yeah, Brother Nick
Wait.
wakes up to put his suit on.
Saoirse
Cade took
would,
his anti-rads.
yeah, Saoirse took anti-reds as well. Saoirse would be trying to usher people further away from the queen out of respect before we put our suits back on.
Okay.
Is that
Yeah,
I
and
guess Cade would say in an undertone, either put your suit on or take your anti-rads.
yeah, and after Saoirse tells that to everyone, Tom would echo that thought in everyone's heads. Yes, we should not delay. That reaction was very similar to what I remember.
What happened last time?
Ah, I'd forgotten you were not privy to that. I'll explain later. For now, we should hurry. And he, uh, if anyone is still hesitating, he would go over and kind of try to physically urge them along a little bit. Not like pulling on them, but kind of like hand on the small of the back, kind of. Come on now.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, he would also say to Brother Nick, you did in Jakari, he would say, you took your medicine, correct?
Oh, he'd respond, and yeah, that he had.
Okay, good. Yes, your suit can wait. It's good, but right now, self-preservation would suggest otherwise. So yeah, he's ready to nope all the way out of the tunnels.
Yep.
So as you all,
Uh, yeah, I guess Brother Nick would ask in response, would she really react that poorly?
uh, Tom would respond, I had thought it possible she might not like the idea, but I did not expect such a strong response. I should have taken more heed to Cora's warning. The Queen is, well, she has not forgotten our past, and it would seem she still blames me to some extent. And this is, he'd be saying this as you all hurry uh, back along the tunnels you came in by. Um, and as you leave, the whatever Jakari you pass uh, would they would look up and they would chitter and hiss. In some cases, sort of growl after you. And for long, you find yourselves back on the surface. um, and just a few moments after you surface, you hear clanging on the ramp behind, and Cora comes running up out of the opening.
Hmm.
And just stops at the entrance, arms crossed, and looks at Tom. I warned you that she was not well. Perhaps you should not have led with that topic.
What other topic would he have led with?
Yeah, I think Brother Nick would chip in and say, apologies, Cora, but I doubt any other topic that we've come to discuss would have left her much happier.
Hmm. Well, fair enough. It should be expected that, given our history with humans, things would not go smoothly, but at least she didn't try to eat anyone.
Saoirse, and this is telepathically to all of us, right?
So this is verbally with her uh, strangely human sounding voice.
Okay.
Saoirse would speak out and just say, um, they understand that relationships were difficult under the Tabukins, and it sounds like you went through your own hell, as it were, under their control. Maybe you might be able to put in a word with the Queen that you were all forced to do things you didn't want to do while you were there, and that this is a chance to do things on your own terms.
Hmm. Yes, and
I think Brother Nick did well, but Tom was not given even as much of a chance as Brother Nick. And I do believe that Tom would be more than happy to start things off on a different foot.
yes, and uh, for what it's worth, I do understand. And I certainly don't blame Tom for any of what we went through.
He's
Tom,
trying
you
to
did
make sure what
explain.
happened to other humans doesn't happen to you.
Hmm. She looks curious at that. Uh,
Can you read minds too? It's easier.
yes, I can. I just had assumed that you might not appreciate a stranger probing your minds. I did understand what you said. I just had not thought of it that way. But I assure you that in time, perhaps things could be smoothed over. But she hesitates and gives gives Saoirse kind of an appraising look. Perhaps we'd best continue our conversation back at your ship. The Queen, she will need some time to consider speaking with you again, but for now, I can be her representative to you. Perhaps we can discuss these other matters you have, and I can help you figure out a way to broach them.
Saoirse would nod at that.
Okay. And she turns behind her and uh, chitters back down the tunnel, and you hear some clanking of claws on metal that recede back down the tunnel. And she goes to follow you back to your ship.
Knowing that people are not in suits, Nero is trying to hurry people up.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
With
Yeah.
simple, motivating phrases like, you have to move faster so you don't die.
Narrow, the anti-rads will last for at least about an hour. We're hustling.
uh, yeah, brother Nick overhears Cora saying softly to Tom in their language, "Is that one also so always so tactful?" And Tom's reply, also quietly, is, "Narrow is a very straightforward human. It's very helpful."
Yeah, honestly, can imagine that would be. When you don't know the nuances of sarcastic tone.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so without further ado, you're all able to make it safely back to your ship, not being bothered by any Jakari or anything else for that matter. And as you make the trip back in relative quiet, you're reminded of the oddity that is the surrounding landscape. The even once you've left the Jakari fungal growths, uh, the plant life is sparse, um, with no signs of animal life anywhere. Just a strangely still and dead feeling place, despite the perfectly breathable atmosphere.
Yeah.
And you're all you can all file back onto the ship and suit up to your heart's content without being rushed by anyone. And Cora is eager to begin discussion. Now, we can go ahead and continue in character if you guys want. Um, I'd also be fine with taking it a bit more third person summary style if you wanted to.
I put that up to brother Nick, or well, to Ethan and Danielle, since they're gonna be doing most of the negotiating, I think.
Mhm.
Some interjections from Robert and some interruptions from Java.
And restless ball bouncing by an arrow.
She's gonna try and keep her hand in check.
Where's that fidget spinner when she needs it?
But she's definitely not going to be leaving the vicinity of Cora.
Mm-hmm. All right. Danielle, Ethan, what do you guys think? Would you like to continue in character, or do you want to kind of, uh, or first person, or would you like to take it a little bit outside?
Uh, I think I'd prefer to. I mean, I'm personally kind of struggling right now
Okay.
with not feeling well, so it's gonna be much good for continued in person.
Okay. So yeah, Cora would want to hear more, kind of maybe some more explanation of how this proposed um, ambassador situation would work. Um, and not just from Tom, but also, you know, kind of asking from Saoirse and Brother Nick as kind of being the closest representatives of humanity, um, to you guys, kind of how is that gonna work? Um, and what do you think of that? So how would you guys how would Saoirse and Brother Nick and even others, if they wanted to pitch in, how would they go about kind of describing or explaining that arrangement?
I don't know how to describe it.
Okay.
Like the arrangement, as in what Tom's responsibilities would be, the arrangement, as in
Yeah, that'd be
relationships with various foreign powers and why humans aren't all the same. Like,
yeah,
Mhm.
some a little bit of little column A, little column B.
Yeah. Okay.
Because basically they're newcomers to politics and international relations, and so she understands the general concept. She seems to be similarly pretty intelligent and quick to pick up on things like Tom, but she still doesn't really understand some of those dynamics. So,
Yeah. So I guess kind of probably I guess mixing in some questions with that. I guess laying the groundwork that these are assumptions that they've had, and they're still trying to learn about the Jakari. Brother Nick would is try to give just kind of a brief explanation of the human idea of ambassadors or emissaries. That uh, planets have leaders, I guess not in the same way since humans don't have, I guess, that giant family hive structure,
hmm
but that they have leaders and they tell people who work for them how they want to interact with other groups of people. And they send that ambassador to go and explain their will to other people and to have discussions with those people on their behalf as they hear those people's wants and wills.
hmm
I guess Cade will also sidebar that with the fact that telepathy and other psionics are rare among humans, and therefore people have to talk to be understood, and it's not automatic that people are understood or even getting along, and how that relates with planets and relations. Because
Okay. Yeah.
if they're a telepathic hive, that's aside from their relations with humans so far, that'd be a novel concept.
Hmm.
Yeah. So Cora would express appreciation for Cade's input on telepathy. She had picked up on some of that at Tabuk and the way that the human scientists interacted with her, but it's good to know that that's a general trend among humans. And she also listens closely to Brother Nick's explanation. And in response, she explains a couple of things. One is that the the queen would definitely be pleased to hear the explanation that this ambassador sort of role would not give does not imply that Tom would have any sort of authority over the queen or um, anything of the like, that he would still be, basically subject to her final decisions and all that sort of thing. Um, And but then she would explain more about why uh, why that was still received poorly, um, and explain that Tom has not actually he's not actually submitted to the Queen's uh, power yet, as Cora has.
What does that mean?
She looks over at Nero and would explain that the Jakari, uh, that the brood is ruled and controlled by primarily by psionic influence. Um, some telepathic, some biopsionic, and that the queen um, now she does explain she's fairly certain uh, from genetic memory that at larger scales uh, multiple queens could perhaps be subordinated to something larger and more powerful, and that is what the humans were apparently trying to recreate or emulate in their experiments uh, with herself and Tom with these hybrids. And but yeah, so she would explain that submitting would involve forming some sort of link. Um, she doesn't know of anything to compare it to, but she would then explain that it would basically give the queen um, the ability, um, to some extent, to control their actions, to
Yeah.
influence them strongly, telepathically and otherwise. She's given Cora some measure of independence given the different nature of her to the rest of the Jakari, but there is still that very explicit relationship. And yeah, after that explanation, Tom uh, he acknowledges and reiterates that that is very intentional on his part, that he has not made that move yet because he's not he's not confident about how well that would go.
Hmm.
He needs more time before he feels ready for that.
So it's like you're all robots.
Hmm. She thinks about that for a moment. No, uh, not exactly, though the the lesser breeds are certainly much more susceptible to the direct commands. So far, something in my nature has seems to influence the way that I react to the queen's demands. But when she does make them, it's very difficult to resist in any way. still able to control how I carry them out, but the core of the command is something I cannot resist.
Arrow doesn't know what to do with this information.
That's a stumper.
Oh, everybody's
Yes,
still there.
after mulling that over. Oh,
No, there was too much silence, so I thought maybe I had lost
oh yeah.
everyone. So no, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yes, after mulling that over for a bit, his brother Nick would express to Cora that that confirmed some of his working assumptions about how their hive mind might work, and yeah, I guess note that they're in an interesting position since as hybrids, they're a new part of that hierarchy, and it'll be up to her and Tom and the Queen, I guess, to figure out exactly how that role will work in their hive.
Yes, and I hope that Tom will be able to influence her positively in that regard. I have no desire to be just another of the brood, subject to the Queen's whims. She looks at Tom for this next part. In fact, I sometimes wonder of the necessity of the Queen.
Oh, snap.
Mm-hmm.
Cora's thinking about that queenship for herself. She's like,
Doesn't
what do
she
you even
make all
have
the
that queen?
doesn't she make all the new Toms?
Did you just try to code the birds and the bees?
She looks at Narrow.
No, Nero just
Um,
didn't. I guess Nero's had enough exposure to the word Gakari, so she does use the word Gakari.
okay.
Yeah.
Because that response would have been a little different.
Fair.
And she says, yes, though I believe there could be a way to render her services as queen uh, irrelevant, at least in her authority. Believe the biological processes could be farmed out.
Yeah.
Farmed out like others would do it.
um, she gets a little bit visibly uncomfortable. Um,
Now, maybe this will be explained.
You're breaking up a little bit, Danielle.
Saoirse would just tell Nero that maybe that would be better explained at another time.
um, she says, I'm not yet certain. Um, I personally have not had the opportunity to uh, investigate my own reproductive abilities, but I suspect that with time I may be able to find a way to replicate what the queen does. Yeah, Saoirse's definitely picking up on some subtext there.
Uh,
Narrow.
as a female of her own race, is picking up on much subtext.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Narrow, again. Uh, okay. It sounded like you wanted to just make her keep making babies, and I don't think that's any better than what the Tabukans were doing. For her. Better for the
Well,
whole race, maybe.
perhaps. She doesn't say anything one way or the other about if uh if she was also alluding to that possibility. The Tabukans were doing far worse than simply, well, than simple enslavement, if that were even possible to do that to the queen. Given her current state, it may become necessary. But again, I don't know if that can be done.
Has she been increasingly agitated, or has she just been in this state for a while?
I would say that time away from your crew and this time in freedom has given her fresh perspective on the events of her past. And she looks over to Tom again at this point. You have explained your past interactions with her, have you not? And Tom would reply telepathically to everyone. Um, I only remembered it in bits and pieces myself. I've explained to most, but we have had new crew members since then. And he indicates Java and Boris. Which, by the way, um, I'm picturing the lot of you seated in a close circle in the meeting room that Tom usually inhabits.
I don't think Narrow's sitting.
But yeah, so Tom would then go ahead and he'd reiterate what he'd explained to some of you before, how that a lot of his memories are fragmented. He suspects as a result of some of the pretty hardcore conditioning he went through, the experimentation by the Tabukan scientists. But he does vividly remember one incident in which he'd been instructed to try to exert influence telepathically over the queen while she was, heavily drugged
Sedated.
and, yeah, also restrained. And even in that state, it did not go well. She basically made a nigh to miraculous recovery from the sedation and nearly did him serious harm before the supervisors were able to shut it down and separate them.
Mm.
So,
And is the queen? Sorry. Go ahead.
so yeah. Anyway, he when he finishes, Cora would nod along and say, "Yes," and from her memories of those times, it was by no means only once. I believe she remembers more clearly than you do. So, you will need to tread very carefully with her, or perhaps even make some serious efforts at gaining trust. Danielle, what were you going to mention or ask?
I was going to ask if they knew as to whether or not Queen was created as a hybrid like Tom and Cora were, or if she is one of the original um, specimens collected
Got you.
of the alien race.
Um, Cora would say that she's not positive, but her genetic memory, which Tom will non-verbally agree with here, um, is that it definitely includes the some of the instinctual reactions to a queen and some of the basic functions that govern those interactions. So it seems like it it's built into their their makeup. Um, she can't. She does concede that, of course, they are they are lab creations themselves, so it's hard to be sure. But yeah, that's about all she has to say on the matter.
Okay.
Um, so um, if there's not anything else on that particular subject, Tom would also bring up the idea of Boris remaining on the planet somewhere, preferably nearby as a visitor slash guest,
Mhm.
and his hopes that Boris could uh, develop a relationship of some sort, of a friendly nature with them, and perhaps even be a help to the Jakari, and vice versa. And Cora's reaction to that would be very favorable. She would ask some basic questions about Boris and like what he can do, what he would have to offer, and what potential threats or dangers he could pose if basically worst case scenario. And Tom would actually give a surprisingly detailed accounting of that. Um, Indicates pretty clearly that he has spent some time with Boris uh, investigating that very question. And Boris again sits very quietly through all this. Um, he seems to have taken to heart the nature of this whole arrangement and the very delicate situation that he's in. Would any of the crew want to pitch in or add to the discussion about Boris's stay as a visitor here?
Yeah. Nero expresses some concern about uh well, let me try and say it in a little bit in character here,
Okay.
because how Nero gets things across has some impact on things.
Yeah.
Um, she says, wouldn't the queen want him to submit to?
Mm. Or I would think about that for a minute, and her response would definitely be hesitant. She would say, "I'm not certain exactly how that could work. I know it's possible for Tom and myself, and of course the rest of her brood. I don't know to what extent a human might be able to submit in that same way. Though it goes
What,
without saying that
what about
Boris would
through
be.
physical threat?
Hmm, yes, believe it would go without saying that Boris would be subject to her authority in the usual way. Um, I cannot say for certain without pushing the matter with her, but as long as he keeps to himself and limits his help to, well, help from a distance, I believe she may be agreeable to it. She would be very suspicious of any work he might try to do within our burrow, but remaining here, even nearby as a guest, I believe would be acceptable.
Nero passes a moderately concerned look over at Boris.
He would look over at her and make kind of a subtle placating gesture to her, and then would go ahead and speak up himself. And just so everyone is on the same page, talked some about this with Tom, and I understand that there are some definite risks, but assuming I'm able to get some particular assurances from Cora here and her queen, I think I've got enough good sense to leave well enough alone and keep myself from crossing any boundaries.
I think Cade would ask at this point and say, Cora, have any of you all found any sources of food on planet? It looks like there are no plants or animals that we see.
Yeah, so she would answer, yes, though perhaps it bears some slight clarification on what we can use as food. One of the functions the queen performs for us is, I suppose you could call it digesting nutrients from a variety of sources.
Ah,
And we have found limited animals or wildlife on this planet, but we have discovered relatively abundant mineral deposits that, though not nearly as fulfilling and engaging as other sources of nutrition, have served passably in the meantime. Though your gift of meats is very much appreciated. And
Saoirse would look thoughtful and say, perhaps we could do some digging into what sorts of animals might be able to live here.
yeah, and as she talked about meats, and as Saoirse brings up other kinds of animals that could live here, she makes kind of a clacking of her mandibles that seems akin to smacking your lips. And she says, "Yes, the minerals serve to sustain our brood and provide for some mild growth, but having another source of genetic materials would be most welcome." And she visibly tries to rein herself in and collect herself.
Thinking about meat.
Yeah, and given what you guys have
Mm,
basically heard through Tom's link in the past, you can guess what might be going through her mind at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Carnage.
But she says, "Yes, and the wildlife we found here was quite strange, though I have little actual experience with such things. Something has just felt off from
oh,
what my instincts tell me we should have found. This place is mostly barren, but I, I really don't know how to explain it more."
We could
Or-
definitely, yeah, I think that would be a good idea, Robert.
Yeah, because I was thinking animals may not live on planet. Um, so in that case, import at a decently routine basis is possible. But what would they trade with? Maybe those
right.
minerals, maybe something else.
And honestly, that was kind of part of why we were coming here was to try and sort out some trade options for her.
Yeah.
And then Tom had to go and upset the queen. Dang it, GM. I'm Tom.
Hey,
Yeah.
you guys were going to bring up the topic one way or the other. Can't put that all on me.
Well, I would say that, maybe we would have handled it more diplomatically, but oh wait, we're not Gikari.
Exactly.
That was
Yes.
pretty much a trap to begin with,
I
whether
mean,
it was
hey,
us or Tom.
I wouldn't say it was a trap. I'll
Well,
say
not
it was
necessarily a
definitely going to be
trap. It
it's
was,
definitely going to be a touchy subject.
yeah, yeah. And I
Um,
am just teasing you.
I know. I just love to love to joke
Deflect.
back. Yes, that too. Let's see here. Okay, I'm trying to decide if I I'm going to answer some of these questions that Ethan just posted, just in text, the very quick ones. A couple of these I could potentially elaborate on, but um, let's see. We've got 30 minutes left in the session tonight.
Hmm.
Um, Thought you guys might
Yep.
want to move past some of this discussion, unless your next move hinges on some of these questions.
Um, I don't mind if you just answer all of Ethan's questions and have him come up with like 7 more over the course of the week. And just say that we had the
Yeah, I think
conversation.
Same.
most of these, I guess, are for our benefit,
Mm,
lore-wise, and I guess maybe not as integral to planning. Well, I guess
yeah.
the resources would maybe be the one. Although I guess broad strokes, I guess kind of like Robert was hinting at, that if we can figure out stuff.
Yeah. Eve, basically everything that we
What
might learn
happened
from
before?
Cora, it doesn't sound like we're going to get to talk to the Queen again. So we're just going to get information from Cora that we can use later on to bring resources here, and better our chances of talking with the Queen, or killing her if that's the direction that Cora has wanting to go. Uh,
Saoirse would also want to, tell Cora thank you for all her help and
yeah.
ask if there's anything in particular she would like us to bring them from the world when next we are in the area.
Okay. From off-world. Um, yeah, so she would look at let's see. Is any of you currently packing heat? Like in terms of a gun somewhere on your person?
Yeah, I guess
What?
Brother Nick always has his laser pistol.
Okay.
I guess
Yeah,
he's
so
been carrying his staff and sword.
she would look pointedly at Brother Nick, uh, specifically at his holster, and she would say, "I've seen your human weapons in action a time or two, and I know they can be quite powerful. Would be very interested in acquiring some of those and perhaps having you teach me how to use them."
Mhm. Uh, yeah, so pondering that, and I guess looking at the group to gauge their reaction, Brother Nick would say that's a possibility.
Well, that's
That
about. She's about the only one who can use it, right?
yeah, and I guess broaching that they might need to uh, make some unique or modified weapons. If it's something for the wolves or the lobster puppies or the drones.
Oh man.
Mhm. She
Oh man.
says, to that, she says, "No, I don't believe there'd be any need for modifying them for their use."
But wolves with lasers running through the forest.
Kate gets the mental image of basically everything except the target catching fire because of lasers shooting literally everywhere but the target. And of course, he's still linked to Tom, so he kind of gets the notion of the lobster puppies running through the forest and like the forest burning down and the enemy
Yeah,
getting away.
uh,
yeah.
Meanwhile, if Tom has his link to Nero, or if she's made a link to Nero
Mhm.
also, it's the exact opposite. These wolves are charging through with lasers pinpoint on target.
Yeah,
Oh
Tom
my.
gives both Kate and Nero just, like, very concerned looks, and Cora looks at Nero and says, "I, you realize how incredibly terrible that idea is. I, we truly
He does
can't
now.
be trusted with any sort of anything that complex or destructive."
Nero manages to resist the impulse to say, but it would be fun to fight them. Depending on how
Oh,
deep
this
Cora
child.
is.
Yeah.
Oh, this child.
um. Yeah. So I in the planning channel, I went ahead and replied, but to those to the conversation about resources, she would just say basically yes to food. As far as water, she doesn't seem to think that they need anything like that. From what Cade remembers of the notes, they don't really need fresh water. Um, they seem to be able to, get plenty of moisture or whatever from their other food or even from salt water. And yeah, then the question specifically about signs of other sentient life on the planet is met with a slight bit of hesitation, after which she would say no. But she definitely doesn't seem confident about that answer from what you can pick up on. It's clearly not very good at this subtlety thing.
Poor Tom, and poor Cora if she is linked still.
uh, yeah, Tom thinks specifically to Brother Nick at this point. Um, I had suspected that Cora would be interested in some sort of union, and I believe I'm prepared for that, but perhaps we could discuss this more later. Haven't found much good human advice on such matters.
Saoirse will just think, I'm sure if she offers you her arm, you'll have.
Mm. Gotta look up my meme for that.
He gets a sense of embarrassment coming from Tom.
Brother Nick will, think the image of or think the idea of smirking and ask him, "Aren't you less than a year old?" Talking about unions.
Tom replies with a bit of confusion. Uh, I understand that an age of consent is a common human construct, but I've I believe I may have been artificially matured, but I am biologically capable of reproduction, so there's no need to be worried.
Well, I was gonna add that to the quotes channel. Just gonna make sure that we're alive.
So, yeah, so there will definitely there would be some more back and forth question and answer about some of the nuances of the Jakari, um, some of their biology and their kind of their society. There were questions about the roles of the various subspecies and as well as some of their history. But we can shelve some of that and cover it as kind of flashback later if you guys have some idea of what you want to do next.
Um,
Or at least we could hash that out right now for next time.
I was thinking at some point we've got to give Cora, I guess, a crash course on system, or I guess in yeah, I guess sector and intersector politics as they
Yeah.
currently stand. Tell her about more about Tabuk and Urala and the CIS.
Okay.
And I guess after laying that primer, give our initial thoughts of how they might fit into that.
Okay.
So Saoirse's gonna pick up that that Cora was a little hesitant um when she said no in response to were there signs of sentient life.
Mm.
Um Saoirse would bring that up and just ask again, is there anything that looks like it are you sure that you haven't seen any even small that could be sentient life on the planet?
Well, there's of course some remnant of a society on the planet. It's some distance from here, but um, a few of our brood did go missing in that vicinity. And
That gets Nair's attention.
yes, there was. Of course, we wanted to investigate that place just as a precaution. Queen insisted, in fact. But since that disappearance, uh, no more wolves have been issued to scout the area. It's not been forbidden, but we've been kept busy with other matters.
Do you think it's humans?
Uh, perhaps, she says. I, if humans had been found, I believe they would have reported back instead of, I don't know, fighting them and dying.
Nair looks even more excited. Looks over at Saoirse. It might be ancient robots, automated defenses. We should go there.
Saoirse sighs. We could definitely look into it.
Um, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and float my question. Brother Nick would ask, would it be okay if we used a drone, one of our flying or unmanned flying craft, to scout the terrain and maybe look at this location from above before we go investigate?
She replies, I don't see why that would be a problem, uh, as long as it doesn't do anything in our direct territory. That shouldn't be a problem. To clarify, the Queen would implicitly lay claim to, well, the entirety of the planet's surface, but realistically, her reach is quite limited at the moment. As long as you don't directly violate any sort of obvious signs of control or any specific aggression towards our kind, you should be fine.
Uh, yeah, he'll nod at that and say, of course. We just want to make sure that while we are here as your guests, that we are respectful of your wishes and keep you informed of anything we might want to do.
Yes, please do relay to me the results of your scouting. Um, and careful about anything you find that you want to keep. The Queen would certainly be interested in such things. I'll leave it to your judgment whether to keep those to yourselves or report them to the self titled sovereign of the planet. Of course, if I were the one in charge, the arrangement would be certainly agreeable.
Saoirse
Understood.
looks at her appraisingly. Duly noted.
Lair looks at her warily. No, not warily. I was trying to find. I was trying to be clever with something, but not appraisingly, but more like recognizingly. There we go. That's my cleverness for the night.
He's gonna say the lady who wants to be queen, who wants to do away with the current queen, who also wants to be taught how to use a gun.
What? Those things are all perfectly explainable coincidences. Obviously, none of them has to do with any of the others.
Mm.
um, so, let's see then. Sounds like we have a plan to do some drone scouting. Um, Now we could probably handle that pretty quickly, and that information might be beneficial for planning purposes. Um, is there anything else you guys would want to do before having Cade send out the scouting drone?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, so let's see here. And I will, this is a good time to just remind you guys that in the past, your your survey surveying suite, whatever it's called, that's on the ship, um, was somewhat difficult to use because of the danger of being in upper orbit, um, with that alien station up there. So you had been able to gain some limited information uh, before just from employing some fairly inventive techniques on Cade's part. Um, but yeah, so actually getting to survey an area much more closely with the observation suite on his drone will definitely yield some more detailed and uh, high resolution information.
Sure. Cade would obviously, I'll say, scout the general area around them first before heading in the direction of wherever that danger zone is.
Okay, sounds
Get
good.
the lay of the land and anything in between.
Yeah. Go ahead and give me a notice check with intelligence as Cade unpacks the drone and sends it off, buzzing into the sky and begins surveying the area, and can hook up the nav comp that you guys have with you to be building a map of the area that he scouts as well.
Cool.
Um, y- you're probably gonna want to re-roll that.
All right.
It'll be a partial success.
Oh man, it
Oh, bummer.
flipped right at the last second.
Yeah. All right. Well, as he explores the surroundings, um, he manages to check out a radius of about 20 kilometers, um, finding no signs of any sort of movement or animal life other than the occasional Jakari critter skittering about on the surface. Um, and in fact, notes about half a dozen different little groupings, three or four of the wolf types together that as he's able to put together, seem to be patrolling and in an area even beyond the reach of the fungal growth. And then he can kind of continue on. Um, the city in question is also it's uh, directly under the geostationary orbit of the station that guys had run afoul of in the past. Um,
That figures.
and accordingly, the location you chose to land and uh, or to I guess to beach more accurately, since you had originally uh, done some amphibious travel, was on the same continent as that city, but a considerable distance. Um, in fact, the operational range of the drone. Let me check here. Unless you remember it off
About
the top.
100 kilometers.
Okay. Um, yeah, let me double check exactly what
And I think the observation suite is up to 10 kilometers. Either 5 or
okay,
10. I don't remember precisely.
got you. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so can start heading he can basically start scouting a path toward that city but and is finding mostly more of the same. Although he does occasionally spot a couple apparently herb- herbivorous, I guess, herbivore creatures grazing or picking at some of the sparse vegetation. Um, but the 100-kilometer range looks like it's only going to get him about a quarter of the way to this city.
Hmm. Good to know. And the danger zone was within the city then.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's actually
Shadar
going to
Logoth,
require.
anyone? Anyone?
It's actually going to require a bit of travel. Um, you
Hmm.
guys do have. Oh, I'm trying to remember. I believe you did pack up the ATV sort of thing that you bought on Tabuk and transferred it in the brief time before you uh, last escape from Tabuk. So yeah, you could make that trip in especially given the relative barrenness of the terrain, even though there are some more uneven areas. The vehicle is designed to handle that. You could make the trip in relatively few hours, a little bit less than half the day, I'd say, even given the terrain
Hmm.
and driving responsibly. Oh goodness, let's see. Yeah, it's already 11:30. Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, good timing.
You guys want to? You could pretty much fast forward over the overland travel, given the fact that you've got a very high tech and well prepared scouting drone paving the way for you. Uh, be pretty
Okay.
unlikely to have any surprises if you guys are okay with short circuiting some of that.
And we'll be okay from the radiation if we all suit up, right?
Correct.
Okay. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I suppose we could.
Who's up for ruin delving? Or, taking over a human city and claiming it as our own. I mean, what?
Road
Hmm.
trip montage, anyone?
Are you saying that for like next session?
I was kind of trying to. I was thinking. I mean, it's not necessary, but I was thinking it'd be. Um, It would be nice for me to be able to give you a little bit of information that you get from doing your scouting of the area around that city.
Hmm.
Um, a little bit more like tonight, so that you could have that to plan with. Um, but we are at the end of our session, so I don't. What do you guys think?
Yeah, make us
We
plan on the
could.
fly. No, sorry. Go ahead, Robert.
I was gonna say, I guess you could review some of that tomorrow because I guess it all depends on what we would find. So,
Okay. Yeah, I guess the main thing is if you guys go ahead and decide tonight that yes, the next thing you want to do is go ahead and um, make that little road trip to do some very careful and as danger free as possible scouting, then I could at least go ahead and put together a little bit of information that you'd be able to gather, and I can send that offline to help with planning, and then next time we can briefly recap that at the start of the session. Does anyone uh, have any objection to that idea?
No objection.
Nope.
Nay.
No objection.
Okay. And I'll also send answers to the questions that would have been asked in this same meeting with Cora, and that'll potentially also help with planning. All right, so congratulations, you all met the Queen, and then did some under the table negotiations with her representative and perhaps future replacement.
Usurper.
No, nobody died. What's with the bunny? Oh,
Oh,
There,
it's just funny stuff.
Nero's mental fights don't need to get any weirder.
Armed rodents coming up next. Um, well, with that, thank you everyone for another good session. You can all have 1 XP point. And, oh yeah, faves. Duh.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're forgetting something.
I was forgetting something. Bad bin. Okay. Let's see. This time it. Oh, yeah. I'm going first this time, aren't I? I think that's how that works. Okay. I think. Oh my. Oh goodness. I don't even know. I wasn't ready for this actually. Bad bin again. Uh, my favorite thing from tonight's session, I think, would be I think maybe just Java's general like is expressing his general confusion about what's going on with uh the whole situation and like the crew's history with these things, because he had like some idea vaguely, but then being in the thick of it and all these allusions to especially Tom's past with the Queen. I I just enjoyed that, maybe as brief as it was. Yeah, so that's it for me. Danielle, what about you?
Getting to know Cora more.
Okay.
And also seeing that she has her own plans that are not in line with the current queen being in power.
All right, thank you. Dex, what about you?
Spicy Cora.
Did you say spicy Cora?
I did. Spicy Cora.
Marvin Gaye Cora.
Yep. Everything about Cora from the nudge nudge wink wink to the I think I'll commit a coup today.
And she's so casual about it.
Hey, she's picked up on y'all's speed. These are the revolutionary coup committing types. All right, spicy Cora from Dex. Ethan, what about you?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it similar? Just yeah, her completely like unhidden ambition. And not dying. I guess that's
Oh,
usually an always unspoken one, but nearly getting eaten by the Queen Jakari maybe moves that up to being spoken.
yeah, there are some situations where that's a bit more noteworthy than others. Yeah, I will say I am consistently appreciative of you guys as players, for the most part, not being the types to be like, you know what, a great idea would be in this very sensitive situation is to act out. Talk back to the queen, because how dare she say that to us? Never know though, so provide you guys I sometimes provide you opportunities to you know, explore boundaries as you might. I never know what you might want to do, so there are always options. Robert, what about you?
um so I enjoyed the how to take off a suit scene. The just random improv that turned into was great. And I also liked Brother Nick shocking the queen by actually understanding the language.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, those are my two.
All right. I don't know if I summarized that second one well enough, but
Yeah,
yeah. Thank you.
good
Yeah,
one.
I actually I had not considered in advance how that would go over, but it occurred to me as soon as Brother Nick went to speak up in their language. I was like, oh wait, they didn't know he could do that. So that was I definitely had fun with that organic moment.
Yeah, I
Um,
liked it.
Avery, what about you?
I'm gonna give it to. I don't know. I just had a fun mental image at the scene where we were like offering things to the queen. We effectively were like, oh, here are all these great things, and boiling it down, like we're pretty much immediately told to leave. So I'm imagining that we just left all of those things and kind
Yep.
of like a upset wife, which I wouldn't know anything about. Um, you know, just like
It's
left these
never the same.
offerings with the angry lady and walked away.
Little true. Little true. Yeah.
I mean,
uh,
I've never
I mean, we
experienced
didn't
anything like it,
throw
but
beef jerky at her from afar, but I think that would have been the next step.
oh
I mean, if you
no.
wanted to get like in even more trouble, that sounds brilliant. But no, but it was a fun mental image I had in my head, even though that's not how it actually went. But
That is that is funny. I mean, It's not too far off. I mean, you guys came knowing that there was, that she wasn't in like a perfectly good mood for some reason or another. You know, basically trying to bring chocolates and flowers, and then so I was thinking maybe we could, and then
Oh,
insert whatever sensitive topic you're trying to bring up with your wife, and then it goes predictably.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, you're definitely not far off. Hmm. So I should amend my favorites and add a second one, which I will just summarize by saying eggs.
You know what?
denied.
I'm
He
not
did
including
not.
that on the faves that I copy paste into the stream. No. You don't get
Hey.
it.
Oh, vetoed by the
Yep.
stream lord. Oh well, I definitely had fun. I was not expecting it to get that uh, visceral a reaction, I guess. Um, in my head, I was like, this is like the most sanitized way I could present it without just saying, like, completely out of character. Oh, and by the way, the queen is also laying eggs. Um, so
And then he says it.
yeah, I don't know. That
Bonus effect.
felt like that would have just been I don't know, to oh goodness, what's the right word? I was about to say like
You
um
didn't want to go to
too
the
passionate.
extreme.
Nice one. Uh,
Thanks.
but yeah, no, I guess I didn't I didn't want to get super gross with it, but I also didn't want to just like totally separate it from the like imagery of I guess the atmosphere I was trying to present. So anyway, apologies for any trauma you may or may not experience.
I'll send you my therapist's bill.
Oh,
Yep.
please no, that's not what I was getting at. You're on your own for that. I know exactly how much those cost. Um, but no, anyways, thank you all. I definitely had a lot of fun with this session. I I hope that oh, I should I should just ask, you guys don't all have to give like explicit feedback, but I tried to prepare myself a little bit more specifically for some of my descriptions tonight. Um, that's something I'm going to be trying to do
Did you
more.
spend prep time on those eggs? Because I take issue with that.
We noticed.
um,
We noticed the eggs.
no, no, no. The eggs part, I did not specifically write out any description for. Maybe
I feel
that
like
was
there
part
weren't
of the problem.
nearly enough details about how the eggs got there.
Yeah, note taken. Not enough detail about eggs. Got it. Okay. Uh,
I noticed
taking
that there
that
was
into
more description coming in through the tunnels.
okay. Um, yeah, I figured I figured it would probably be pretty obvious because I don't, well, anyway, I've just noticed that there have been times where my description isn't quite, it somehow or another doesn't quite match up with what you guys end up imagining. So I thought, well, maybe being a little more thoughtful and intentional in describing things initially might help with some of that. So anywho,
Yeah, I thought it was good. It did help paint the scene. We're still not all going to see the same thing, but it gave
Mhm.
us more to paint with.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. Just wanted to point that out, and um, I guess also then reiterate if you guys ever have feedback on any things like that, even if it feels to you like you'd be nitpicking if you said anything. Um, I'm always trying to think about making sure that I'm kind of adapting to, I guess, the party, and trying to communicate things well and in a way that's helpful and clear and all that kind of stuff. So always welcome any constructive feedback, either critical or obviously complimentary, of any of my GMing style. Obviously, I no promises as to being able to completely rework my GMing style, but I'm very open to trying to tweak things and be clearer and make sure it's engaging for everybody.
This session worked out real well, so
Oh, good.
no
Oh
complaints.
no. Oh no.
Awesome.
Dang.
All right, I'm out of here. You got too much egg.
Flee,
Yikes.
flee.
I'm out of
No.
here.
Good night.
Peace. Good night.
I'll close
No
the
dreaming about
stream.
eggs.
Good game, everybody. Good night.
Yeah, good night.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
good night to everyone who might be listening. Thank you
There's
for your
me.
time.
I'm listening.
Yep.
I'm glad you're listening.